Hey, sixth grade. Welcome to your sixth and final week of virtual learning. This week we'll be discussing part 2 of the Civil War. Last week you learned about a couple of key battles, the Battle of Antietam and the Battle of Bull Run. These were fought in the East. Lincoln's top general, General Ulysses S. Grant, was sent to the West with a very specific mission. He was to gain control of the Mississippi River. Now, on his way to do this, he did win some battles, and he earned himself a nickname, Unconditional Surrender Grant. He didn't pause, he didn't hesitate, he just went for it. He knew what he needed to do. Now, gaining control of the Mississippi River would block the South's food supply from states west of the river. On this map, you'll see the Mississippi River right here. If General Grant is successful, then he'll be able to separate a large portion of the South from the rest. In order to gain control over the Mississippi River, Grant would have to start in Tennessee and make his way south down the Mississippi River. An admiral named David Farragut would start in the south, in New Orleans, and he would make his way up, and they would meet in the middle. Alright, so the two commanding officers, Grant coming down from the north and Farragut coming up from the south, meet near the city of Vicksburg. Now, the city of Vicksburg sits on top of a 200-foot hill, so they're looking down at all these ships coming in. They're at an advantage because it's not easy to invade. They can see people coming from way far away. Vicksburg is at the advantage. Ships could be shot down at, and any soldier that tried to climb that hill would be shot at. So, Union troops are unable to reach the city with their firepower, and the Confederates have the audacity to not surrender. So in mid-May of 1863, Grant has an idea. We're going to starve the city. The Union troops surround the city, cut off all supplies, food, everything, and they continue firing at the city too. Well, the food runs out, and the citizens, because there's actual people living here, they become angry. The Confederate troops are also upset, so they urge their commander to surrender. And on July 4th, Vicksburg falls to the Union. Now remember, the citizens of Vicksburg had been surrounded since mid-May. So May, June, July, 2 months that they were without food and supplies. General Grant isn't completely cold-hearted. As soon as they surrendered, he sent food and supplies to the citizens of Vicksburg. Our next battle, the Battle of Gettysburg, happened about the same time as the siege at Vicksburg, but with different players. July 1st, 1863 was when this battle starts. This is the official turning point of the war. It lasts 3 days. So Robert E. Lee brings his Confederate troops up to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He has the idea that he needs to have more successful battles in the north because that's really going to show the Union. Well, he has no idea that Union troops are already in Gettysburg, because the guy who's in charge of spying or intercepting orders isn't doing his job. So his troops go into town and they run smack dab into some Union troops. So some fires are shot, and both sides go up to 2 different ridges that are parallel. As you can see in this map, Seminary Ridge and Cemetery Ridge. So we have the Union troops right here, and we have the Confederate troops right here. So on day 2, the Confederate troops try to capture a hill that would give them an advantage. Remember, when you're on high land, you can see down, you have an advantage. But they did not win it, they weren't successful. So the Union kept holding their lines. The whole time, General Lee, who is very sure of himself, very confident with his skills, thinks that they've really hurt the Union troops. Little does he know that's not true. So day 3, they decide that they're going to attack the Union troops right down the center because they think that they're incredibly weak. And this is called Pickett's Charge. So before General George Pickett could charge, the Confederate troops for over an hour shot at the Union troops to try to weaken them. When they thought they were weakened enough, Pickett took 15,000 men to walk the mile distance between the 2 ridges. Well, the Union had not been weakened. They shot down at those Confederate soldiers for that entire mile. A few did end up getting to the other ridge, and as they were climbing up, the Union had already brought in more soldiers, and they were shooting down at the Confederate soldiers. So the Confederate soldiers were forced to retreat. Lee had realized his mistake, and he realized that he had been beaten, so he ordered his troops to retreat. Lincoln was really upset because the Union troops did not pursue them. He thought that if he had pursued them, the Civil War would have been done right then, but that was not the case. However, little under 2 years later, General Grant has taken over the West. There was another general named Sherman who had already conquered the South, and Lee was surrounded near Richmond, and he was forced to surrender. So Lee surrendered to Grant at the Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia on April 9th, 1865. Now, people were whooping and hollering, we won the war, but General Grant said, no, let's welcome our brothers back. This isn't like we beat an enemy. We can now welcome our brothers home because we're now hopefully going to become a new country, or one country again. Well, that's it for this week's lesson. Next year, you'll start off with how we put the North and South back together and reconstruct the nation. So we made it through virtual learning. We did it! And we hope that you have a great summer. Remember, be good, be kind, and we can't wait to see all the great things y'all do next year. See ya!